All right, welcome back to Stories from the Dirt. Today we have the B3 Rebels returning for their second year of the rally. We have Marie and Hannah. Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Hello.
good morning.
And today we have Liz as the co host. Hi, Liz.
Hello.
All right, Marie and Hannah, why don't you give us a little intro about yourselves?
I can go. So we're
Okay.
the B3 Rebels. The name came from the boss, the Bulldozer, and Bernard, our vehicle. Hannah's the boss. I'm the Bulldozer. Then, of course, there's Bernard. Before signing up for the 2023 Rebel, we didn't really have off-road training, and I think we didn't officially even get out in the dirt until our first Rebel U in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, I had always wanted to be involved in motorsports, but there's that whole it's going to be expensive, or I don't have enough experience. I don't know anybody who can take me out there. And then when I started looking deeper into the Rebel and saw that the classes were open to any skill level, I immediately asked Hanna to come on board. And here we are, year two.
Nice. Hannah?
Hi, I'm Hannah. Um, I know Marie because she is the sister of my boyfriend. So that's how we kind of know each other. And yeah, I did not grow up camping. I didn't grow up off-roading. I didn't grow up being into cars or motorsport or anything. So I had never even heard of the Rebel Rally until Marie reached out to me a couple years ago about it. And I was kind of in like this big career transition in my life and just kind of in a place in my life where I was just really stepping out of my comfort zone and saying yes to all these like new opportunities that came my way. So it was kind of just like perfect timing with the chapter that I was in my life when Marie asked me to do it. So I said yes, and I had no idea what to expect, but I was like, I'm down, let's do it. And we just had like the most incredible time our first year. So we decided to do it again, and I'm super stoked about it.
Nice. Yeah, I had some
Yeah,
interactions with you ladies last year, and looked like you were always having fun.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were.
And it was always great
Yeah.
seeing you two out there because you guys looked like you were having fun too.
I'm trying.
Yeah, I would say every time I saw you ladies, like biggest smiles and stuff.
It could have also been the helmet just compressing those cheeks, making it look like a smile.
That is so true.
Yes.
Those things do
I've
squeeze.
covered Yeah, I've covered the helmet fit being so very important, especially when you have cheeks like these.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember one of the ladies was suggesting like, oh, you can take out the little inserts as long as the helmet's still steady on your head. And as soon as I took out those inserts, the helmet was just so I
Uh,
committed to that cheek smushed face.
yeah, it's a commitment for sure. So you guys have let me just paint the scene. No off-road experience, no like weekends in the dirt getting dirty, no camping, and you're just like, "Hey, this is the longest thing available for women in motorsports. I think that's where I want to jump in and start."
I mean, yeah. I did
Okay.
car camping, which we all know is nowhere near what we're doing here for the Rebel. So I
Yeah.
knew that I liked the outdoors. I for sure knew that I loved my car. And I bought Bernard all those years ago, thinking that one day we would hit the dirt, and then, life just happens. And we never did. We became a daily driver. Like, how unfortunate for a 4x4 to. He was literally like a pavement princess, a driveway trophy.
Okay, well,
And
tell us, what is Bernard?
Bernard is a 2001 Land Rover Discovery, and I bought
Okay.
him in 2003. Big dreams,
Okay.
guys. I had seen like Camel Trophy, Dakar Rally, and I was like, one day, I was like, I'm gonna buy this car. I finally made enough money to buy this car that I've always wanted, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then gas prices got expensive. I started to realize I had a 9 to 5 job at the time. I was like, I'm never gonna get out. Like, I can't take vacation as much as I want to. So there was a point where I think it was like 2014 when gas prices got really expensive. I ended up buying a hybrid, and then I just parked Bernard in my driveway. And I was like,
Mhm.
one day. And people were like, sell it. I was like, no way. I love that car.
Yeah.
One day.
I love that
And
you didn't give up on the dream though. You're like, no, no,
no,
no. I mean, he's gonna sit here and like the dream is still
exactly.
there.
I was like, the dream is there. I would start him up every now and then. I'm like, let's make sure that we're not completely dead and go nowhere. you know? And I think it was like 2016 or 2017. The Rebel Rally started to show up on my social media feeds because I didn't give up on the dream. I followed like all these Land Rover accounts, and it was kind of popping up. I was like, someday,
Yeah.
not even thinking about like maybe easing into actual camping and not car camping. I was like, it's cool. And then in 2020, every my husband had passed away, and I started to realize, like, you need to do things because you're not guaranteed that time frame. Because I kept saying rebel someday, and so I started to look into what it would take to get into the rally, and then asking Hannah, yeah, 100%. Two people who had never hit the. I never even put a vehicle in four low before in my life before going to
Wow.
Rebel U.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about the passing of your husband. Obviously, that I'm sure that was really hard to get over.
It was it's definitely difficult, but it was kind of
Yeah.
like a little catalyst. Like, you can go do things, and you probably should do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Hannah, she was like, "Hey, I have this crazy idea of not, taking baby steps, but just jumping right into the deep end." And you were like, "Heck yeah, sign me up."
Literally. Like it was like a text from her I just got like in the middle of the day. And I think I replied, yeah, I'm down. Like it was just like a very organic start to things.
Hey,
Did you like did you look into it at that point? Did you have any
Yeah,
idea?
I at least like Googled it to like see what the deal was. And yeah,
You Googled
I
it.
I Googled it, and I mean it sounded incredible. I loved that it was like an all women thing. Like that was very appealing to me. And I think from when you asked me to rebel you, like our first rebel you, we weren't even really sure if we were going to do it. Because I
All the
think,
dogs have feelings.
yeah,
Yes, I do.
they have thoughts too. Because I think we still had time to like decide if we wanted to commit in, like during that
Hmm.
time frame. So we were kind of like, let's at least do the first rebel you before we like really, send in the rest of like the deposit and all of that. But it
Right.
was, yeah, that first Rebel U, we just had such a good time. And then that really like solidified it for us that it was something
Nice.
we wanted to do.
And
Nice.
I'm curious, so what did it take? Because Bernard had been sitting in your driveway, he'd
Uh-huh.
been dreaming as well. And what did it take then to like get him ready for the Rebel U and for the rally at that point?
So
Yeah.
in a very convenient turn of events, I got back in touch with my old Land Rover mechanic who had worked on. He has this shop. He'd been working on Bernard prior to the last time I parked him, and we started dating. And we were at dinner one night, and we were talking about my Bernard plans, and he was like, "Hey, you've been wanting to take Bernard into the shop to get him fixed. What do you want to do?" And this was, I think, before I had mentioned to Hannah that I was interested in joining the rally. And I said, "Don't laugh at me. I want to do the Rebel Rally." And I was like, "Have you ever heard of it?" He's like, "Of course I've heard of it." He's like, "That's an amazing event." And I was like, "Yeah, so I want to take this vehicle that's not moving and go like do this crazy long rally." And he didn't laugh, and he just said, "Okay." And he's like, "Tow it to the shop." And so it was a long process. For our first Rebel U, Bernard wasn't ready. And so he actually gave me his Discovery to run in Rebel U.
Mhm.
And I was just like, that's a lot of trust. I don't even know how to put this vehicle in for a low. He was like, "Oh, you got this. You'll figure it out. You'll be fine."
Well, and he's a
Nice.
mechanic, so he's undoubtedly taken perfect care of that. So he's like, all right, I'm
Yeah,
sending you off with this vehicle that like is going to take care of you.
exactly. And it was really funny. The first time our very first Rebel U, right? So we're in there, and there's all these vehicles, girls who were signed up. It was 2022 at the time. So girls who were signed up for the rally that year. And they asked the girls to separate into two groups. And they're like, let's have the experienced off road drivers in this group and the rookies in this one group. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, cool. I have no experience. I'm going to get in the rookie group. And I think it was Laura Wanless walked up to me and she's like, oh, so you're going to go with the experience group because obviously your truck. And I was like, this isn't my truck. Please don't mistake my skill level to be like, to match up with the truck that I'm driving. I was like, put me in the baby group, please.
Nice. So you're obviously the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hannah, you're the navigator.
Yes.
And was that an easy decision because you have the vehicle, Marie? Did you just dream like when you saw yourself rebelling, you were like, I'm the driver? And then Hannah, you were like, oh, if I'm going to be her partner, I have to be the navigator? Or how did that suss out?
I think we went into that first Rebel U really open because we
Mhm.
weren't sure what role we would lead into. And we had also heard that
Mhm.
people would swap. So for both of them, I think we both, for that very first one, we both definitely took both parts seriously, thinking it could be our role going forward. And I think just naturally, I think I felt comfortable driving, and Hannah really felt, I feel like she like fell in love with the navigation. Like there was like a moment where you just saw like this click. She was like looking at the maps and it was just like instant, where I'm constantly like, what are you looking at again? Where are these numbers?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like it happened pretty organically. Um, yeah, I had never even really like looked at a map besides like the Thomas guide in my parents' car when I was little. Like I have no experience with maps, and then I think with Rebel U we did it where it was like half navigation, half driving. And I think our first day in the classroom of learning navigation, I was just like, this is so cool. I love pens. I love stationery. I'm like a total nerd when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, I think it just made sense for me to be the navigator and then Marie the driver moving forward from that point.
Nice. Nice. So you set this crazy high goal, if I might say so, for people that have never done any
Mm-hmm.
single part of it, and you're like, this is what we're going for. What goal did you like? I write down my goals on paper. So like, did you write down a goal on paper, and what was that goal that you wrote down
I think our first goal was to finish.
to finish? Okay.
I mean,
Hmm.
historically, and it's been a joke like going forward, right? Like Land Rovers aren't exactly the most reliable of vehicles. So finishing was
But
a
they're
big
fun.
goal.
And
Yeah.
not break Bernard. Yeah.
Yeah.
All in one piece.
Finish, don't break Bernard, still like each other.
Yes.
Great goals.
That was the initial
And
goal.
initial goal. So did you refine that as you got into it? Did you refine it as you started more training?
Oh man.
Oh, they're both
Well,
laughing.
So we did Rebel Trials in Ridgecrest last year.
Mhm.
And so we had never really put into practice all these skills, right? And that first day, we learned how much I really love enduro math.
Okay.
And we did great on an enduro, and that was it. Like Hannah and I, all this time, my brother was making fun of us because we said, we just want to finish. And he was like, you guys are competitive. There's no way that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And we did the, we did well in an enduro, and Hannah and I looked at each other like, this could be it. We could be rookie of the year. So these
Nice.
dreams, we just got like, we were like, okay. We were like, this is the worst thing to happen to us because now it's gone from finish to do really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Um, so then that became a goal for a little bit, and then we had a really great prologue, and then I think was it day one, Hannah, that we were like,
it was day
oh,
one. Yeah, we got humbled so quick. Like at that point, we were like, how the heck did we think we were gonna get rookie of the year and like all these things and like maybe like place? Like, oh no way. Like it was just back to finishing, I think. Which was like I think what the goal was all along. I think we just
yes.
kinda our heads got a little big from how well we did at the trials and yeah.
Yeah. So Liz and I were both at trials that you're
Mhm.
talking about with our respective teammates, and that enduro was hard, by the way. I mean, I didn't nail it. Did you nail it, Liz?
Oh no, Nat and I were terrible at the enduros. We went back at
Yeah.
the end because I think Emily was like, "Oh, anybody who'd like to come back when you're done and like rerun the course." And Nat and I tried it like I think 4 or 5 times because we were like trying to figure out our communication and our timing and all sorts of stuff. Like that was definitely an area that like we had to work so hard in and kept missing
Yeah.
turns and stuff.
Yeah, that one was not easy, so kudos, ladies. Okay, so day 1, prologue, you're, like, still riding the high,
Mhm.
right? You're like, "We're still going for rookie of the year." Day
Oh
1 happens, and you were humbled, like, what happened?
yeah.
We just got really lost a lot.
Okay,
Yes.
It was
a lot.
that first day in Mammoth, like up in the mountains, and like
Yeah,
we had never practiced in that terrain before. Like
yeah,
we were
Mhm.
always out in the desert, so that was like a very new landscape to navigate, which was very challenging for me as the navigator because I couldn't see
mhm.
anything. There's just trees all around. Um, and yeah, I think that was part of what humbled us. Is just like we had never gotten lost that much in any of
Yeah.
the trials that we did and all the practice runs. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
is this how it's gonna be for the rest of the week? Okay.
Yeah, that
There
network
was
of trees early in the day, day
oh
1 was crazy, and it was that and now I
Yeah,
think, Avis and I've chatted about that was, like, when the eclipse was going on too.
yeah.
So
Yes.
it was,
that's
like, the
right.
light was different, and there were so many roads, and a bunch of them weren't on the maps, and, like, I
Mhm.
just remember
Yep.
I'm driving, and Nat's like, there's all these roads, and she's like, "Okay, this one, okay, that one," and we're, like, slowing down, and she's like, "I don't think it's that one." It was just then we're
Yep.
seeing cars going, like, all over the place, like, that was just a
Oh yeah.
mess. So,
Such a mess.
And it was
Yeah.
really difficult too, to see which were the main trails that were marked versus those little side trails that maybe were created with the weather.
yeah.
And
Some
there
of
was
them
a
just went to
really
campsites. You'd, like, kind of, like,
yeah,
start, and then you're like, "Oh, no, that's not really a road.
Yeah,
yeah,
Do we wanna camp
exactly.
now?"
exactly.
Yes.
Well,
Can I
this
go
is
home?
it. I guess it's our marathon stage today.
Right?
This is I like to say this is where I live now.
No, there was one point in that little network of trees that I looked at Hannah, and it was one of those moments that you realize you have to trust your navigator. I looked at Hannah and I was like, I don't know where we are anymore. I think we just have to pay for the information and click and move forward. And we clicked, and then we just started laughing hysterically because the spot that we were looking for was how far was it, Hannah? Like,
It was like 10 or 15 feet in front of us. Like I think we were trying to find an opening to another trail that we just
Yeah.
couldn't see, like around a bend or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that was a good laugh. Like I think we needed that moment because we were so like stressed and just like
yeah,
not in a good place mentally because of like how lost we were feeling and what had happened. And then I think that was just like a total reset for us, right? Like
hmm
we just had
yeah,
a good laugh and then like the rest of the day was great.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are kind of what I would call pseudo family.
hmm
You're dating her brother, right, Hannah?
Mhm.
So, did you need to do any kind of bonding or just extra hanging out together, or were you already pretty, like, well suited to be a team in the beginning?
I think in like true Marie and Hannah fashion, we would hang out like at little family gatherings. So that's like what, Hannah, like 2 or 3 hours on the holidays, maybe. And so the
Yeah.
first time we spent any like massive amount of time together was that first Rebel U.
Yeah.
Didn't ease into it. Just you're like, okay, we're gonna be stuck like attached at the hip for the next 4 days.
It doesn't sound like you guys ease into anything.
No, I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think that's our style now that you mention it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think maybe in
So
my head I think I'm that kind of person, but I don't think we are.
doesn't sound like it.
Mm-mm.
Who set up the tent?
We each set up our own tents.
We
Okay.
got our own
Mhm.
tents.
We both
Okay.
have. I have that Quetchup pop-up tent, and then Hannah has a pop-up tent as well, the little Coleman one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
And
it
that
makes
was
for
like
an
a
easy
very,
setup.
Yeah,
yeah.
but tearing them down.
Oh no, there's much yelling. It's usually me versus the tent. So much so that I've actually thought about doing like a standard pole style tent because I feel like I'm much better at taking those down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you clearly finished your first year. Was Bernard in one piece?
Absolutely. Much
So
to everybody's shock.
you accomplished your goal, your
hmm
initial goal. Good. All right. And then so you finish, and was it an immediate addiction, or did you have to stew on it, or were you like, sign me up now for next year?
Yeah, as soon as we crossed that finish line, Hannah looked at me and she goes, "So we're gonna do it next year." And it wasn't a question; it was a statement.
And you
Nice.
were like, "Of course we
Like,
are."
Sarah's like, "Yes, yes, we
Yeah.
are."
You're
Well, I
like,
think
"No, my boyfriend already signed us up."
Yeah,
well, no, Marie went back to the tent. I think we deliberately were like, let's not get like back on our phones right away. Let's go have dinner with everyone and slowly like, return to the world. But I think
Mhm.
it was like really maybe early the next morning. I don't remember when you did it, but she like shows me her phone and she goes, look, and she's like already signed us up for
registered us
this year's
while
Rebel.
we.
Yeah.
The first touch of signal we got in Glamis, I was like, "Yes, sign up."
I love it.
That
Okay,
might, I'm like, that
so
might be a record for the fastest sign up. We're gonna have to do a poll on that one.
Yeah, we. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure there
I'm
were other
curious.
people who did it.
The second they got their phone,
probably.
they're like, boom, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I gave myself a few hours.
Good,
Right.
good.
So you didn't
You
fully
gotta
jump
think
in. You had a couple of hours to ease
Yeah,
into it, then jumped
yeah.
in.
So there's the one thing we
because she
eased into.
approaches things with caution, clearly.
Clearly.
I love it. Okay, so you know each other through family functions and dating, and then you dating family,
Mhm.
and then you do this rebel class. Do you decide you need any more bonding time? How often do you train? Like, how do you work out your communication? What does that look like? Did it cause issues in the family?
Oh,
Hmm.
definitely not that, I
Mm-mm.
don't
Yeah,
think. Right, Marie?
I
No,
don't
I'm
think
just kidding.
so. We should probably ask my brother.
right. That was more of what I was leaning towards. Does your brother miss hanging out with Hannah because you're hanging out with her all the time?
I think he is a big part of everything we do also. So
Okay.
like my boyfriend's working on Bernard and my brother helps us with a bunch of other stuff. Decal application, trying to figure out ways to make the interior work for us. Organization. I think something that helped too that Hannah brought up in our first Rebel U was that my brother and I have very similar temperaments. So I think she's kind of used to the Rhea's way of being, which is, I don't even know how you would explain it, Hannah. A little intense, maybe.
Sometimes, in moments, intense moments, when things get a little stressy. But yeah, he has been a big part of it. And I mean, their whole family, the whole Reyes family, is like a car family. I mean, they grew up with watching all forms of motorsports.
Yeah.
So when we would get together, it was always, like talking about the Rebel, or like we'd all, like the whole family would be in the garage, like working on Bernard, or it was always like a family event centered around Bernard, when we were preparing for the Rebel, which
Mm-hmm.
was really sweet and cool to be a part of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
seems
super
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
We all came out to our tech inspection day, and when we
Okay.
were all in Mammoth.
Yeah.
My parents, my brother, Hannah's parents, her brother, my boyfriend. It was a big crew that came out to see us off.
Nice. Did they go up the mountain with you?
My brother and my boyfriend went up the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So having that much support at home, literally like at home, when you're out and you're, circling or you're clicking and paying for information, does that pressure weigh on you?
We would laugh every now and then. I think especially on day one when we were in circles, we were like, I wonder what they're all thinking. And so my brother took over the Instagram account for our team. And sure enough, there was a story, and he's like, so they're lost. They're really lost. So I think you do think about it because
I,
everybody
I
back
do for sure.
home, when we're doing things, I'm like, oh man, they must think that we have lost our minds. The first thing my dad said to me when we got back, he was like, can you please explain to me? And I forget what day it was. He's like, can you please explain to me why you kept driving over this one checkpoint and you guys did not click? I was like, well, we weren't sure. We weren't sure we were there.
Yeah, the funniest thing I heard a husband say is, why can't you just do it like Nina and Tara Lynn? They just drive to the checkpoint and click.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, why can't you do that?
Yeah. Why can't we all just
Well,
channel
let
Nina
us
and
explain to
Carolyn?
you one.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's goals.
So have you refined your goals for this year, or does the same goal exist?
I think we talked about now that we have a baseline, I think just beating ourselves from last year. Just doing better
Okay,
than we did last year.
nice.
Yeah.
That's always a good goal. That's always my goal.
I think so.
Yeah. Are you what's your training approach this year? Are you doing any official classes or
We're signed up for Rebel U in Ridgecrest near the end of August.
okay.
Mhm.
So something different about this year's training is now that Hannah does have this great career in the culinary arts, our schedules don't line up quite as well. But I also think
Okay.
that having the baseline of having already done the rally, we're able to train separately now because then
Mhm.
she can fine tune her like plotting and navigating, and then I've been going out on the weekends that I'm available to practice driving.
You come away with like driving skills, like when you cross the finish line, you came away with like skills that you realized you wanted to learn and focus on this year,
Mm.
I think
or just more seat time.
more seat time for sure. Like they always say, like driver mod is the best mod. So I figure more seat time, um, and just having more trust in the skills that I've learned and my vehicle. Because I, in the very beginning, of course, had a tendency to baby Bernard because I was like, oh, I don't want to break him. But lately, I've been going out with the SoCal Rover Club. So it's a lot of people with the same vehicles and just taking on more difficult terrain and really putting into practice everything I've learned through Rebel U and the actual Rebel.
Mm.
So I think that's been helpful. One of the things that we did last year was we kind of avoided some of the X routes because keeping Bernard in one piece was such a big part. And I think this year we're definitely going to try for some of those X routes and, just pushing ourselves a little further.
Nice. So, 1 year in, the obvious question that we like to ask everybody is, did the rebel change your life?
Do you want to answer first, Hannah?
I think so. I mean, for me, like I had mentioned earlier, like I've never done something like this in my life. Um, and I think I took a lot away from it. I think it just made me a more confident person, like more confident in myself and what I can do and taking on, whatever challenges come my way. I feel like I just always remind myself like, dude, you did the rebel. Like you can do this, you know? And I think that's super empowering. And yeah, I'm just like, I feel like I just welcome new challenges that come into my life with a new perspective after doing the rebel.
Nice.
Yeah.
For me, I think even just the act of deciding to become a rebel changed me. Um, I'm sure, like most women who have these interests, like vehicles or camping, we're usually surrounded by a lot of just men because that's what you end up gravitating to in like friend pools. So the idea of being in this like very all women's group um, never even occurred to me. It's not that it
Mhm.
didn't appeal to me; it just never occurred to me. And seeing all these great women doing wonderful things, because outside the rebel, everybody's got a great story too. So I think it's really enforced the idea that I need to spend more time with more women, like more great women.
Mm.
And I think
Yeah.
there's also that confidence building aspect too. Like, here's the scary thing that not everybody can do, and we did it. So I think that changes too.
I mean, I can't even imagine looking at the rebel and having, if I may, none of the skill sets
Mm-hmm.
advertised and being like, that's something I want to do. I looked at the rebel and I was like, oh, well, I just need to learn how to navigate. Like, I camp, I get dirty, I drive off
Mm-hmm.
road. Like, I have a women's group that I camp with. Like, I hang out with women regularly. I can change my own tire. but you were just like, "Oh, this is a list of requirements. I've got none of those. I'm gonna go for it." I
It's
mean,
cool. We'll figure it
like,
out.
yeah, I I'm just in awe because I'm sure I've done that in my past, but it just seems like the rebel is so big. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I applaud you, ladies.
Well,
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
having each other
Oh
helps.
yeah.
Like I think if it were anyone else and not Marie, I don't know if I
Mm,
would have taken it on the same way or even said yes. But, I think Marie is just like one of the most amazing human beings ever. And it was really an honor to be asked by her. And like, she just always made me feel like safe and like empowered. And I think that specifically having her as a teammate was like the biggest part of saying yes and actually doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think having Hannah too as a navigator, right? Like she is very methodical. I mean, just look behind her, the organization there. Like that's, that's how she is in the truck. So it's like when you have when I have a question about like where we are, there's like this perfect little circle, a perfect little flag. And I think that's how my brain works. So just to on the same token, like I don't know if I could do this if my navigator wasn't Hannah, because now I've gotten used to this method, and if I had someone who had a different style, I'd probably just be completely confused.
yeah. Yeah, every teammate is different.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You both
So,
are teaming up this year.
Yes.
correct.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've been
cool.
friends for several years, and I think we tried to link up like early on before Avis had
Mm-hmm.
competed, and it just didn't we just didn't work out. So I was cheering her on her first year and watching her go through it, and had wanted to compete in the Rebel for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching her go through was like, oh, like her and the Honey Badgers. I was like, oh, I got two teams. I know them. I'm so excited. And then like
Aw,
she'd gone through, and then the next year I was like, okay, I'm doing it. This is my year. So, and now this
that's
year
awesome.
we're trying it out.
Yeah, I finally convinced her. She
That
should be
sounds
my
like it's gonna
teammate.
be
It
fun.
took me months. It took me months. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, like I just said, this will be my 3rd year. Liz is my 3rd teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Every person is different. Everybody communicates differently. And so we hear stories like yours a lot. Like I couldn't imagine doing it with
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. And I just think that's great. Uh yeah. So do you guys now practice camping or that's still just for the rebel or
I went all in. After this, I just now, whenever I can be out there, um, I'm out camping.
okay.
My boyfriend is very much into camping as well and off roading, so it works out. We actually this weekend picked up a 93 F350 with a camper on the back because we are like, oh yeah, we need more adventures, but we need to be able to take the dogs. So
Yeah, I saw a picture of that.
once again, I went all in on something. I was like, oh, I like this life. Let me buy everything.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband and I, we have a 4-wheel
Uh-huh.
camper. So yeah, yours is looking pretty cool.
It's got that it's got that nice massive diesel sound. So
Yeah, yeah. Doing dishes inside it's a game changer.
the other was it 2 weeks ago we went up to Trona with the Rover Club and it was very windy, which I don't remember it being windy when we were up in Trona. And we were
Yeah.
camping there and that was the moment that we realized we needed an enclosed cooking and getting ready space because we had the two Land Rovers. We were trying to pitch a tent, and the wind was just taking that little tent it looked like I was flying a kite. So we
Oh
had
my
to move like the
gosh.
little mattress into the truck, and after that, we're like, we probably need someplace to be indoors during these situations.
Yeah. What about you, Hannah?
I also have camping trips planned. I mean, I don't own an off-road vehicle. I just have my little Corolla. So it's just car
Yeah.
camping for me. But I'm getting out there too. I'm actually going to go camping next week. and then I booked a campground in Sequoia for my birthday in June. So a few camping trips
Nice.
here and there, just getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's nice.
I mean, my brother and I are trying to convince her to get a 4-wheel drive vehicle, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I
What
do
does your
want
brother
one.
drive? Okay. What would be
He,
your dream 4-wheel drive vehicle?
well, right now I feel like it changes every day, but right
Well,
now
yeah.
I would love like just a little two-door like Suzuki, like
That would
Okay.
be
Uh,
Like a
so
yeah,
fun.
samurai?
like a Samurai. Yeah,
Okay. Nice. A little old school action.
yeah.
mhm.
I think
I
I would
like it.
definitely get like a older vehicle for sure once I'm ready.
Nice. Liz is known to collect vehicles. She
Oh
understands.
yeah.
It changes on the daily, so
Yes, yeah, we have quite a few, and then there's like a whole list that we would like to have at some point. So I'm back to
Yeah.
wanting the 1984 4x4 Tercel.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Right? We'll see. We have a friend that like collects them and restores them and then sells them and stuff. So someday, someday I'll bug him again and when I'm ready and be like, all right, where's mine?
well, let Marie be your inspiration. Someday can be a decade from now
Yeah,
and still
Right. It could
happen.
be tomorrow.
it
So
could be
It could
tomorrow.
be.
can't
It
decide
could
if I need
also
to
be.
make room for it and like, is one of the other vehicles going to go or am I just going to have to make it, a space in the yard and just like tuck it back?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely have that issue. I too am just like, oh, I want that car. Maybe it'll fit. And then I constantly look at my driveway and I'm like, there's room for one more.
My problem is I look at how many miles I drive a year and I'm just like, what am I going to drive that one 5 miles and then that one 5 miles? Like, I just don't
Yes.
do a lot of driving.
Yes, the answer is, I mean, those are the most amazing 5 miles, though. Like each
Yeah,
Well,
vehicle
well,
has its
yeah.
Yeah,
own
great point.
soul, and you're like, ooh, like every time I get in my single cab little truck, I'm like I have these days where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get rid of it, and then I get in it and like drive it to the grocery store. I'm like, I love it so much. That was
Aw.
amazing. And then like get in the van, I'm like, oh, all right, well, this is cool too. It's a totally different experience. Those are great 5 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
exactly. I mean, I obviously also believe that these vehicles have souls. Bernard has his own personality now.
Okay.
For
You
sure.
know,
I don't even name all of my vehicles, so I don't have that same, like, interconnection.
hmm
So how does that come about? Like, how do you decide that Bernard is Bernard and a person and has this whole, like, character?
I think it just happened organically.
Okay.
Uh,
Just
I
natural for
got
you.
him. The name just like fit. I had this old thrifted jacket and it had like a huge old Milwaukee patch on the back. And the name said Bernard. And I was like, to me, it just seemed so funny. I was like, oh, here's this trucker with like trucking like old Milwaukee through the States. And his name is Bernard, which just sounds so proper for like a trucker. So it hit me and I was like, yeah, I think that's a good name for this truck. And over the years, he kind of became his own little legend because it's a Land Rover and there are just tons of quirks. There just be random quirks that we just attribute to like, oh, he's temperamental. He's not happy. He's
Yeah. My husband, had a Range Rover
Mhm,
for a while, and it had definite quirks, and the
mhm.
one time it wouldn't start, and we called the dealership, and they're like, "Well, what you need to do is you need to turn it off, you need to get out and you with the key, and you need to walk around it 3 times, and then you get back in, and it'll start." And he's like, "You're kidding me, right?" And they're like, "No, try it." And I kid you not, it worked.
Yeah,
You tell me.
They
I
all
think.
have their little quirks and their
Mhm.
noises and like their little things that they do. And I think that's part of what gives them their personality. And as the driver and stuff, you start to
Yeah.
get to just know all those little intricacies. Like,
Mhm.
so, and it's
Yeah.
going to be different
I
from
don't
a
know.
different Tacoma or a
Yeah.
different Discovery. Like, you'll get in a different one and it's not going to do the same things or have the same
Exactly.
noises or quite the same quirks. So,
Or the little telltale signs if something's off.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what is that new popping noise we're hearing? I don't know.
I
So
think.
in
Oh, go ahead.
preparation, did you ladies spend a bunch of time while you're getting Bernard ready also like wrenching on him, learning everything mechanically?
I am at my boyfriend's shop a lot, just poking my head in, asking what's going on. And that's pretty much it. Although I think
We also
because
took
it is his
some
shop, he's really like, he's like, oh, I can do it. And I'm like, okay, just poking around.
key. You also
Yeah.
took some classes too, right, Marie?
I
Recently?
did. I signed up for Nick's class up in
Mm,
Georgetown, so
Nice.
that
Yeah,
was
that one looked
fun.
really good. It looks like it's
Yeah,
really good.
it was really fun. And, it was a great group of people there. And, it's always fun to learn in that environment where it's everybody at different skill levels with the goal of, it feels like the goal for the class was how to get yourself back to base camp if you do something.
that's important.
Yeah,
It is.
Those are the skills we need.
exactly.
Yeah. How to save your life.
Hmm.
So the first year you guys did the Rebel U, did you also utilize the online classes, or how did you like increase your knowledge beyond the Rebel U?
We did do online classes. Um, so we did the online classes, did our very first Rebel U in 2022, took Nina's Glamis class early in
Mm,
2023, and then did a few more Rebel U's.
okay.
Nina's class was super helpful. I still have an aversion to the dunes, though. I don't know if I'll ever shake that.
I call my dune skills terrified confidence.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
I
that.
like to call it a healthy fear.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the opportunity to take her class this year, and yeah, still terrified. Definitely cried once.
Oh,
Same.
yeah. I think when we were after Nina's class, Hannah and I were like, so let's just go sand highway and get all the greens and just get the
Yeah.
hell out of here. And then that didn't happen. We were with Fonda and Macy of Team Dirty Tires Jeep, and
Mhm.
they let us into a couple blues, so we were able to pick up a few more checkpoints. But it was not without stress.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
What's your comfort level, Hannah, riding in the dunes? Do you have any like anxiety around just being in the car in the dunes?
Yeah. It's still scary being in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Um, yeah. No, I am more scared of them than Marie is, and I'm not even the driver. So that's saying a lot.
Okay.
Are
I
you?
like to say,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Liz.
Oh, I say, are you excited to take some more of the 4x4 routes this year? I mean, you'll be
Yeah,
riding along, but that'll be kind of a
but it'll be
change.
awesome. Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I feel like Marie could have totally done them last year, but I think we just, with our goal being like wanting to finish and not break Bernard, we didn't do them. But yeah, I think she's going to kill it this year on them. And it's just going to be a new piece for us and see some more like awesome stuff, that we didn't get to see last year. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Nice. And so from year one going into year two, are there any strategy changes? Or do you plan on doing anything different? Are you packing different equipment? What have you learned from last year that you're going to bring forward into this new year?
I think we definitely don't need as many snacks as we thought we did.
We packed so much food last year and like didn't eat any of it. Like I don't know what we were thinking. I mean, it was our first year, so we had no idea. But
Yeah.
that'll be a big
I
change
didn't.
for
I
sure.
would say because I resonate with that because Nat and I packed so many. We had like our whole center console was full of them, and then we had like another box with like reserve snacks in the back. But I
Yeah,
also didn't know what we were going to be like. What were they going to be giving us at the
Hmm.
right.
rally? Where it was like everyone's like, "Well, the food's great," but I'm like, "Well, what are the snacks? Like, what do we get snacks? Like, what do we get?" So yeah,
Yeah, totally.
what snacks will you be bringing though? What's definitely making it back on the snack roster?
Oh, for sure, Duke's. Those little
Yeah,
sausage jerky things. We have tried to
Oh,
get Duke's to sponsor
jerky.
us because that's all we eat whenever we're off
we're like
road.
obsessed with Dukes.
I'm gonna
Those
have
are
to look that
good.
up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're
They have
like
a
perfect
jalapeno
fit
one,
in the
don't they?
center
I think that's what
console.
I've had, like the little ones, and they have like a spicy one or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a
Those are
green
my
bag.
favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. They're super tasty. What
Yeah.
else are we
Nice.
changing? Honestly, I think
Yeah,
packing
clothing,
less.
gear. I'm sorry,
Packing
Hannah.
less overall. Like
Yeah.
with clothing, like I think of course we were told that in Rebel U as well as from like a bunch of other experienced teams, like don't bring as much as you think you need because like you're not going to use it or it's just weight, unnecessary weight in the car. But we still overpacked and just had to do it to learn from it. And yeah, I think just stripping down like across the board everything we packed will definitely be the case this year.
Yeah. How many pairs of shoes did you take?
I just took 2. I guess the boots that I was
Two.
driving in, and then the shoes that I was wearing around camp.
Yeah, me
Okay,
too.
I'm impressed.
Those boots have to come off at some point.
No, they do. I mean, I think I took four
Oh
pairs of
wow.
shoes. I know. Too many. I need to knock that back.
I was like,
You
yeah, I
know,
had 3. I was only gonna take 2. I had like my Vans that I was wearing, and then I had those like slip on, or are they like the rubber Birkenstocks for around camp.
mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
then I was paranoid that we were gonna get some crazy weather, and so I shoved a pair of like half size rain boots like in under one of our like decked things. I mean, we never needed them, but I'm like, if I hadn't brought them, would we have had mud and storm and craziness? But I
Yeah,
never
You
used
would have been
them,
but
so
ready.
you would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took cold weather Vans. I took regular hot weather Vans. I had sandals. I think I had another pair of shoes too. That's too many. Anyways,
But if
so
that's
we
what makes you
sometimes do
comfortable.
something called fast money, but it's hard with 4 people. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of
Okay.
questions, um, just out of interest. What was, Marie, the first car you ever owned that you had the keys to?
Owned and not a hand me down?
Well, it was your car. Like you had the keys to it. You could drive it anytime you wanted. You weren't like borrowing your mom's
Okay.
car.
It was a 94 Pathfinder, but it was a 2-wheel drive.
Oh, no, you froze up a little bit. Just say that again for
Oh,
me.
it was a 94 Pathfinder. It was 2-wheel
Okay.
drive though. So
Okay.
the suspension was awful. It felt like the Indiana Jones vehicles at Disneyland.
I lost you again.
Oh no.
I know.
something
You
with
got slow
Indiana
all of a sudden.
Jones.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I was just saying that 94 Pathfinder, the suspension was awful. And it was so bumpy, it felt like a Disneyland ride, like that Indiana Jones Disneyland ride.
All right, Hannah, same question.
Mine was a 2008 Toyota Yaris sedan, a white one. That was like
Okay.
my first car in high school.
Okay.
Hmm.
Nice. Good memories, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Um, okay, Marie, what is the best sandwich?
I'm gonna have to go with a pastrami sandwich.
Pastrami. I like
Hmm.
pastrami.
I like pastrami with like a nice spicy mustard.
Mm.
Okay.
Yum.
Hmm.
Yellow chilies on the side, like
Oh
pickled
yes,
chilies.
yes.
Mm.
Oh, is pastrami your answer as well, Hannah?
It's a close second or third, but for me, it's a little simpler. It's, actually, dang, I feel like I have two that are tied. I'll go with a just like a buttered, like a crispy baguette with
Mhm.
butter and prosciutto, like a very like Parisian, walking down the street, chomping on your baguette kind of sandwich.
Clearly she's in the
Yeah.
cooking industry.
I'm over here and I'm like, ham sandwich.
She said it and I'm like, oh, suddenly I want some butter prosciutto. And how many pairs of Vans do you own, Marie?
I think 6, but I've transitioned to Chucks. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair. Fair. Hannah?
I think I own three. I own a couple just like slip-ons, and then a pair of high top Vans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. So any advice for rookies coming up this year? Things you wish you might have known before your rookie year?
I think just have fun. Have fun with it.
Okay.
What do I wish? You don't need as many snacks as you think.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
definitely
one.
that.
Um, and something that I knew going in, um, but I think we should reiterate is just know your vehicle.
Mm.
Know your vehicle, know what you're capable of, and trust your navigator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same. Trust your driver, and also like they always told us this during Rebel U, and it just like always stuck with me, and I felt like I would come back to it during the actual Rebel. Is you should always take 100% of the responsibility, even though it's so easy to like blame the driver if like you pop a tire, or vice versa if you're lost to blame your navigator.
Mm-hmm.
You're a team, and having that sort of like blaming mentality isn't going to get you anywhere, and it's actually going to hurt you, as a team and your morale. And when you just kind of approach it with taking 100% of the responsibility, that allows both team members to problem solve together and get you out of whatever situation that you're in. And I think we both really adopted that, and that was like one of the best things for us throughout the whole experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys sound like you have a really good communication style and relationship. So that's really nice.
I think it's something we
So
really built through the Rebel and Rebel U.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
and what was like your favorite or most memorable moment from the rally last year?
I have two. There was one moment where was it Trona, Hannah? Maybe it was in Trona, where it was a black checkpoint, and Hannah looked at the map, and then she looked up, and she just pointed directly at where it was, and we clicked, or she clicked that one, and she was pretty much spot on. And it was just that moment that I realized like how far we had come from knowing absolutely nothing about this rally raid style to my navigator literally like a badass finding a spot that you can't see, like an imaginary spot, and really like nailing it. And then my second was crossing that finish line and then having Mandy run up to the door and like all the veteran rebels just kind of cheering everybody on as they pass through. It was kind of nice to see everybody, we're all just supporting each other and proud of each other.
Yeah. And then Hannah?
There's so many. Like, I don't know if I can pick one. I mean, I feel like my easy answer would be just crossing the finish line, and just like immediate tears, like euphoric tears in a way that I don't think I've ever like felt before. And just, yeah, that
Yeah.
like feeling of just like feeling like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, and like all these people, just specifically women, which makes it even more special, like supporting each other. And yeah, it was just like one of the best feelings in the world to like finally not even just like get back to base camp, but like literally, drive over the finish line. Um, I mean, that had to have been the highlight for sure.
Yeah. My first year, I tried to pretend like I wasn't crying, but I'm a crier. And then my second year, I was like, screw it. They're like, we want to take your picture. And I was like, take my picture. Like, whatever. Like, I'm crying. Anybody who knows me knows I'm crying. Like, let's go. The tears are
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a special feeling for sure. Um,
All right, I have one more question because I'm super curious about the boss, the Bulldozer, and then it's Bernard. So I got to know about the names, the nicknames,
Hannah.
Okay. I can start.
unless it's inappropriate,
Um,
and then I
No,
really got
not
to
at all.
no, 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 not at all.
oh,
Not at
dang,
all.
it's not inappropriate?
So my nickname in high school between like my close group of girlfriends, because we had two Hannahs in our group, which is I think part of the reason for the nickname was Boss. So, and like to this day, you know, like we're all in our 30s now, they still call me Boss. Like that's just who I am in our friend group. And then when Mike and I, Marie's boyfriend, started dating very early
My
on.
brother.
Oh, did I say your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Sorry. My boyfriend, your brother. Very early on, one of the things we like connected on was his nickname was also the Boss. So it was just like this like small world coincidence that we all bonded on. And then the whole Reyes family, like their mom and dad are also Boss. So they call each other
They
Boss
call each other
too,
Boss.
which is like
That's cute.
so funny. Yeah, it's really cute. So anyway, that's how the Boss came about. And then the Bulldozer.
And the Bulldozer. So I'm the only member of my family that doesn't go by the nickname the Boss or Boss, which we all laugh about because I think I might be the bossiest one. And the Bulldozer nickname came about at work. So I work in healthcare, I work at a children's hospital, and one of my coworkers had made fun of me because he said I had a tendency to walk into rooms where there's a little bit of chaos and just bulldoze my way through to try to solve a problem. So then it just became a joke, like, oh, here comes the bulldozer, because I'll like walk into a room and just make a beeline for something.
Nice.
Yeah. Very cool.
Bernard got his name, you know, from that thrift store jacket. That's perfect.
And then it became
That's
the
amazing.
B3s. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on that note, lady, I will close us out. We thank you so very much, Marie and Hannah, for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on the starting line.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
We look forward to seeing you at Tech.